the gods vanished and left our world in chaos. Creating, altering, destroying. The Anthem is all that remains.
All right, John, are you well rested?
Yeah.
Are you prepared?
Oh, I'm prepared.
Let the marathon begin!
Okay.
E3 2018!
Yes!
And here we are. We are back on our recap.
We started E3 by breaking the website. Fuck yeah!
Yeah, the day before E3. I'll talk about that more in the podcast. We don't have time to talk about anything, and this isn't even a thing where I then talk about another thing. Fucking welcome to the podcast. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
And we are doing, we're going to do these in series of 2, so even though EA was all by itself this year, we're going to do EA and we're going to do Microsoft today. Then we're going to have, Bethesda and Square Enix, and then Ubisoft.
We're going to also slip Devolver in between Square Enix and
sure.
Bethesda.
Sure, absolutely. Yes. I forgot all about that, but I'll put it on the list.
How dare you, sir?
And then we're going to end up with Sony and Nintendo. So I figure there's going to be 4 of these podcasts, and we're going to try to keep them. We're going to try to keep it to the brevity.
Okay.
So EA. Let's just start with. I'm gonna say right now that in the hopes of keeping this podcast to a reasonable level, cross fingers if I can knock on wood. Anytime there's sports, we're just going to skip over it because I don't think either you or I have any fucking thing to say about sports.
Can I preface this
Sure.
the EA conference with something?
Yes.
I love EA because they always set the low bar for conferences.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, not everyone met that low bar this year.
Well, that's
But they always set the low bar.
Yeah, I don't think
it's not, and it's always not offensive. Like, it's not completely offensive. Like,
Right.
there's some good announcements in there, but it's not really anything anyone wanted.
Nobody ever comes out of E3 going, man, did you see EA? They fucking won E3 this year because they're too safe. You know what they're going to drag out. I mean, you can.
We knew that they were going to come out and go, yeah, sorry about the loot box thing.
Yeah.
Remember, we're people too. Remember that.
Battlefront 2, Anthem, a bunch of sports games, maybe a few indie titles, and Battlefield 5. And what's strange to me is they didn't even really show Battlefield 5. Like they showed very little Battlefield 5.
What I loved about Battlefield 5, we could talk about it a little bit later, is they showed this little cut scene and then said, for the full trailer, watch
Microsoft's conference.
And then at Microsoft conference, it was 10 seconds longer.
Yes.
The trailer was 10 fucking seconds longer.
Yep. I feel there's a similar thing that happens during Microsoft with Fallout 76, but let's just jump in here. So, okay. One last thing before we jump in. So I think that even though you and I don't do arbitrarily who won E3 rankings, I think we could all assume EA did not win E3.
They weren't the worst. But they did set my expectations.
Boy, did they give you a lot of places to go from the EA conference. So the conference started, and we're not going to go point by point this year. I'm basically making bigger tier bullet points.
I made bullet points for each conference myself.
There you go.
I have only 2 things listed for E3.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to mention the one very strange thing about EA was this beginning part where it was like a 3D thing of this Anthem monster coming out of the screen and swatting at a guy. But nobody in the audience at that place could see this, right? This is like a special effect for us at home.
Maybe they had 3D glasses.
I mean, but nothing else that they showed seemed like it was in 3D. So I don't know. It was just a little strange to be like, look at this. And it's like, oh, okay. Anyway, so the first thing that we got to see was Battlefield 5. There was a little bit of how do you do with their new host who would have some choice things to say, but we don't have time. Battlefield 5. Okay, what did we learn that's new this year or from this conference about Battlefield 5?
Did we learn anything new?
We did.
They confirmed the Battle Royale mode?
No. Okay, so what I have here is no loot boxes, no premium. This is the exact words that they used. No loot boxes, no premium pass. Right?
Yeah.
So I get the feeling that there's going to be. I mean, obviously there's going to be cosmetics, right?
Probably.
But that EA did a lot of damage control this year about the Battlefield loot boxes.
Yes.
There was a lot of just specific references to that, and this is one of those things where it looks like they're going to be giving you purchasable cosmetics, but you're going to know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And then no premium pass, which here's the thing. I want to talk about this when it comes to Battlefield or Battlefield 2 and their updates that they talked about for this. It's kind of interesting for us to consider a world where if a company releases a game that doesn't have loot boxes or a season pass, but they do promise a certain amount of content and they do have a revenue generation stream that is not tied to either something like loot boxes that are really gross or a premium pass, it's possible for one of these games to launch. And I feel like this is kind of what we're seeing with Battlefield 2.
Battlefield 5?
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2.
Fall flat on its face, but continue to use the core player base to do revenue generation to put more content in the game, which I think is really interesting. It just means that like it's even more of a strike against the idea of buying these games right when they come out, because like for all intents and purposes, Battlefield 2 seems like it could shape up to actually end up being a good game, but it's not one right now.
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2. Do I keep saying Battlefield?
You keep saying Battlefield,
I'm
which
sorry.
is what's confusing
I'm
me.
sorry. Anyway, let's get back to Battlefield. They showed the breaking apart buildings and stuff, and that all looks really nice.
Always does.
Yeah. They showed you can move, like they made a big deal. They made a big deal in all of it about moving turrets around, which I'm like, okay, I've never been one for turrets in the game. So no loot boxes, no premium pass. Battle Royale mode.
Yeah.
Right? This is another... I feel like it wasn't quite as ubiquitous as we may have thought it was going to be, but there were a lot of Battle Royale modes in games this year.
Yeah.
So they say they're going to do their take on Battle Royale.
I feel like more people joked about it than actually announced.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. And then we got a trailer for Ground Operations, which is their version of kind of like... I don't know. Like, what was that mode in Call of Duty World War II where you would like... objective push.
I don't play Call of Duty.
Okay. Well, it looks like a kind of an objective push map, or objective push mode, which is interesting to me because I'm not really a big fan of Battlefield. I'm not really a big fan of the deathmatch version of Battlefield because I'm not as good as most people at it.
Yeah.
So the idea of having like big kind of cinematic objectives that you can do is a lot more interesting to me than that. But all in all, I feel like this game is a little bit muted. Like I remember last year everybody was fucking super psyched about Battlefield 1, and this one I feel like maybe it's because last year Call of Duty did Battlefield 2, and so we've just kind of been re-fatigued to Battlefield 2, but I feel like people are just not as interested in this as last year was. Like I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't really play these games all that much, but
no. I feel like the reaction to it is on par with their promotion of it.
Yeah.
Which I feel is muted because of the whole Battlefront 2 thing.
Right.
Of that, and they're trying to basically be like, all right, let's not get people's hopes too hyped.
Right.
Let's just play it safe. Let's show them stuff and hope they play it.
I guess it's weird because I feel like we haven't seen any. I feel like haven't seen any actual footage of what the multiplayer looks like, and then the single player has been promoted with this thing that we were just talking about, where at the end of this they showed this teaser for Nordley's war story, and it's like, okay, but what is that? Like, it's so little information that I'm not interested in a character way about the game or about this war story thing.
Yeah,
and the multiplayer just seems like they're just showing really pretty World War II things rendered in the Frostbite engine.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, what do you expect? Like, Battlefield isn't going to be reinventing the wheel. They're just going to be making a new Battlefield game, but it's all going to look like World War II instead of World War I. So,
yeah.
I mean, just a little kind of meh, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was such their centerpiece last year that I expected a lot more this year because this is it. That's it. Then they're done with Battlefield for the entire conference.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Let's see. From there, they briefly talked about, or no, they didn't briefly. They talked for a long time about FIFA 19. They brought out a big cup. I don't know what it is. They talked about Hans Zimmer did the music for their trailer or something. There was a bunch of league stuff. I don't know. Don't know nothing about FIFA. Back to video games out of FIFA. There was a really interesting section in here where we talked about. First, we talked about. Well, they brought Satan out, Mr. Andrew Wilson, the Dark Lord himself, to talk about first streaming, which is interesting because, you know, Nintendo announced that Resident Evil 7 cloud, and then we've got EA talking about this same kind of tech of streaming like PlayStation Now or on. I guess OnLive isn't a thing anymore.
No, they're not a thing anymore. But they were a thing. But yeah, it's basically that.
So which is interesting because I think that the streaming stuff, if they could work it out, is really interesting because it removes the ability of your console to have to render all the graphics, which is cool, and it means that we could have games that look even better than they do now. But you got to work out that lag problem, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, I used OnLive back in the day.
Yeah,
back when it first became a thing, and like literally. Because I had good internet, because I'm a tech nerd who likes to have his internet. I didn't notice too much lag.
Yeah.
But the problem really came into the forefront with multiplayer, because the way those servers are set up, you can't really, at least at the time, you couldn't really do multiplayer. So if it was a game that had multiplayer, the multiplayer function was turned off because there's no way to play multiplayer on it.
Yeah, plus multiplayer requires no lag input.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
So it was kind of one of those things that I don't think we're there yet. And I also kind of worry about it because there was the whole thing a few weeks before E3 of the president of Ubisoft, Yves, whatever his name is, saying that the next generation of consoles, in his mind, will be the last, and then after that, it'll be purely streaming.
Yeah,
and it'll be talking about this, and I was like, in Europe.
Where they have good internet.
Broadband is very common. Everyone has broadband. Everyone has really good internet there.
Yeah.
In the U.S., not so much.
Right.
We are more than 2 console generations away from that.
Yeah.
But,
it's an interesting, I mean, like, I love it as a concept.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is that
there's too many outside factors that hinder it.
Like, if EA wants to partner up with Nintendo and, rewire the entire United States with fiber optics and make sure that it's run to every single neighborhood and house in the entire country over the next 2 years, well, then why certainly I feel like the next console generation could be the last. It's just that we can't do it with the broadband speeds that we have currently, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to 4K. If you're planning on streaming in 4K, it's like you need an internet that is like an order of magnitude faster than what we have commonly in the United States right now.
Yeah, and I mean, and even then, like, there are people who like having a physical product.
That's
like,
true.
I don't like. I like the fact that I can bust out my Xbox 360 or my Dreamcast or my PlayStation 2 or my original NES and play those games
when the internet is down.
Yeah, with the internet, because I actually had that.
Because Microsoft made the Xbox 360 for you when your internet is down.
Yeah.
According to one Don Matrick.
Yeah, well, he's out. But anyways, my point is, like, I like being able to play the games that I've bought.
Right.
When, what happens when those servers go away? And if it's streaming, what happens when that company decides, you know what, we don't need to carry this game anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. If this happens to be a thing, I personally feel like physical copies of games are going to become collector's editions, essentially, that, like, most people will pay just the monthly fee and stream the games, and then, like, collectors like myself or you or people who really care about it will pay then the premium for small boutique runs of physical copies of stuff.
But the problem there is that then you have to have a console that can run it.
PC, I think the PC could always be that. Oh, okay. But I don't know. In any case,
I mean, we're already at the point where PC, no one has physical PC.
Well, that's true as well. The other thing, though, that they announced, I think, is much more interesting, is that so Microsoft has their Game Pass, and it's actually been rocking and rolling pretty cool, or at least I thought that they've put enough things on it to make it worth buying.
It's starting to seem worth it to get it.
Yeah. And then EA has their EA Access, which is on the PC and then on the Xbox One, where you get early access to games, like new games that come out. And I think that gives you like a discount on new games and then some free games. But
you get access to the Vault, which is older games, and then you get a discount on new games, and then certain new games you have the ability to get early access to. Not all new games through them, but certain new games.
Yeah, because Mass Effect Andromeda would give you like 10 hours, like 72 hours in advance or something. You can play up to 10 hours of the game.
Yeah.
But they're upping that to Origin Access Premier, which, at least as near as I can tell right now, is only on the PC, $15 a month or $99 a year. and it's all their new games, more like the Xbox Game Pass, where you give them $15 a month, and then when Anthem comes out, you get fucking Anthem, right? At least on the PC. I don't think they have any console plans for this, which is weird because it seems like something that console players would be more interested in than PC players to me, but
I actually already understand why that is.
Okay.
One, they offered it to Sony. Sony said they didn't want it, which is why the Origin Pass or whatever the fuck it was called, the Game Pass, was never on the Sony PS4. Microsoft, I'm pretty sure now that they're doing now that their Game Pass thing is,
they don't want a direct competitor.
Yeah, they don't need another service. They don't want to overload users with tons of subscription services on their console.
Sure.
So it's
but it's going to launch later this summer, and I actually think, I mean, I have the Xbox One Pass, and I think it's I think that there's a really good, if you're a fan of these games that they're announcing, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Because $15 a month is not a huge chunk, right? When you consider, as long as you're getting, 4 games a year, like 4 $60 games a year, that's kind of worth it. Like, that's the amount that you would have spent on those 4 games.
Yeah.
And then you're also getting access to a huge back catalog of stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So, or $100 for a year. That's even not a bad, I mean, as an upfront charge, it seems kind of shitty, but when you think of, you're going to get Battlefield, you're going to get Anthem, you're going to get, some of the stuff they're talking about, like Madden, and Madden's coming to the PC back to the PC.
I mean, the only real thing you got to ask yourself as a person with that is, if you cancel it, you lose all of it.
That's true.
So it's one of those things you got to ask yourself, are you a person that doesn't mind that? Hey, as long as I'm paying for the service, I get those games and the future games that come out after it, and I can continue paying for it and I can continue to play them? Or are you the type of person that's like, I buy a game and I want access to it no matter if I'm paying for the service or not?
Now, see, as just quickly, and we got to move on from this because there's so much of this, but as a quick counterpoint to that, I feel that there's actually a case to be made of saying, if you're willing to pay $15 a month and get access to those games, then there's also the factor of, like, if you ever decide to cancel your Game Pass, then if it's been a year or two, those games may be on sale ridiculously cheaply at that point.
That's
to
true.
The point where you might have paid $10 a month to play this game for 2 months and then bought it on sale for $10 in a year. I mean, Sony's having some kind of giant-ass E3 sale right now where
you got a good point.
Shit's like $9 for, games that are 2 years old. So,
good point.
But anyway,
that's a very good point.
From there, I think it's mostly concerning to me when it's the idea of the whole streaming thing, where it's like you never have access to the game. So from there, we had an exercise in complete and total fanboyism as we went on over back to the audience and talked with Mr. Vince Zampella.
This was both the most awkward. Like, here's the thing: everyone when we were watching this live on the chat, everyone was like, "This is super awkward." But I think Zampella's comedic timing is perfect in this.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's intentional on his part, but if it is, genius.
So,
because I was laughing my ass off the whole time.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Zampella's, he heads Respawn Entertainment, and Respawn is the one that's now making the new Star Wars single player game, or probably what? No, it's like games as it's got an online component now or something.
I don't think they've said anything about it.
Anyway, these are the things. I will tell you the things that he said.
Well, before you just say the things he said, what I love, the best thing I love, he tweeted on Thursday of anybody who wants to see what Respawn is doing next, you should tune in to EA's thing on Saturday. You won't want to miss it.
Okay.
So he hyped it.
Right. And this is what it is. 1, it is called Jedi Fallen Order. 2, it's between episode 3 and 4. 3, you probably get to play as a Jedi. And 4, holiday 2019 release. No,
it's dark.
And it's dark. Yes. Yeah. There was the one point that I really liked was where the little girl host was like, "That sounds great." He's like, "No, it's not. It's not great. It's bad. It's a bad time for the Jedis." this is such a nothing burger, but it's such a testament to
no
how
picture, not even a fucking logo of what of the title,
not concept art,
nothing. It's literally him sitting in a chair in the crowd, her sitting next to him and asking these little questions.
He's not even wearing a Star Wars shirt.
He's not even wearing a fucking Respawn or EA shirt.
He's wearing a khaki pullover and a black baseball cap. He looks like Captain Goddamn Generic, and there's no information here.
She could have literally sat next to anyone and said, "This is Impala," and I would have believed her.
Right. I feel like I could actually just dub in any game announcement onto this video, because he doesn't like nothing. And this is as opposed to last year where they trotted that poor Iden Versio lady out in that vinyl dress with a bunch of stormtroopers to be like, "You guys like Star Wars?" And then special message from John Boyega.
Yeah.
This year our Star Wars announcement is this guy who's just like, "It's got Jedis. You guys like those, right?" So
I like that. So this means so it's the what was it, like Jedi or the Fallen Order or something like that? What was the title of it?
The Fallen Order.
Yeah,
yes.
it's the Fallen Order. She's like, and it takes place between
Jedi Fallen
and he's
Order.
like, yeah, and it basically takes place the time where the Jedi are being hunted. Oh, so you get to use a lightsaber in this game? Maybe.
And
he was just like, maybe.
Yep. So, but strangely, I don't know if it was because that announcement was such a downbeat, but like, we're going into Battlefront 2 here, and this was strangely not the worst thing. Like, they brought out this Dennis guy, Dennis Branavel or something.
The design director. They just went in and goes, "Dennis, you look like a nerd, and you look like someone who would be working on the game in the trenches.
Right.
You can talk at least somewhat competently. Go out there and make them not hate us."
Yeah, well, I feel like Dennis came out, he was just like, "So we had some problems, and we're trying to fix it, and this blah, 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 blah." Like a lot of buzzword bullshit. I wish you could just cut all the buzzwords out of this. Anyway, the announcements here are actually kind of interesting. One, probably by the time this podcast goes up or shortly thereafter, they're putting out the solo map that's on Kessel, which has the prequel Han Solo and Lando as new hero characters. And then they're also putting out there's a whole bunch of new stuff. They're going to have Extraction, which is a game mode that was in the first one. There's going to be a new squad system, so you can basically buddy up with your friends. All this shit should have been in the game from the beginning, right? There's going to be a new Starfighter dogfight mode where it's just hero ships, I believe. Which is kind of cool. And there's going to be later on in the year a large like command post capture mode that I think, from what he was saying, I can't tell because they don't like to say anything, but he made it sound like that mode from Battlefield 2 original, where you could get in a ship and fly to the other capital ship and then like capture points on another capital ship, which would be cool. So yeah, all that. And then the big thing that I gotta say kind of put a damper on my whole excitement for this was, going forward, they're going to be focusing a lot on the Clone Wars. It's going to be like 2 or 3 Geonosis maps. They're adding in Grievous, Obi-Wan, Dooku, and Anakin as hero characters in the future. Like, I don't loathe the prequels, but I'm much more interested in OG Star Wars than I am in the prequel stuff. And they already had Geonosis in this game, and I was kind of like, okay. I don't know. Did any of this do anything for you?
No, I don't play this game. So.
I liked the first one so much that I want to like this one, and I feel like all that stuff that I just listed off, right? The prequel stuff, the maps, the Starfighter mode, the Han Solo stuff, all of it's free, right? It's all free updates. So I almost feel like in 6 months, maybe I could load this game up, and it might be way better than it was when it originally launched if they've retooled the progression system and there's a bunch of new maps and there's a bunch of new heroes. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't want it to be the worst game that's ever come out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm looking for reasons to like it.
Go for it.
Who knows? Maybe these are good reasons to like it. From there, we moved on to Unravel 2.
Yeah.
This is
a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, is this the same guy that was having like a heart attack when he announced Unravel 1? or is this a different guy?
Don't know.
He looks like a lot. I thought the other guy looked a little bit more like Dennis. Was a little bit nerdier.
Yeah, I think this might be a different guy.
Anyway,
or it could be him just aged.
Yeah,
a year.
Is he just like he worked out? Now he's like, fucking E3. I'd done that. Fine. Anyway, we already played this on a dojo. Amanda and I.
Yes, it's out. They pulled their infamous, and it's out right now.
Yep, it's co-op. It's real fun, and the co-op I feel like is real fun because there's a yarn between the two of you, and so it gives you a reason to work together, or in Amanda and I's case, to scream at each other bitterly, depending on how you like to play video games.
Isn't that y'all's relationship, regardless?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. In any case, yeah, out now, $20. I thought it was real fun, so give it a shot. After that, though, we had this year's nervous Unravel reveal person, which was, I forget what this lady's name is. Let's see if I can find it in the video here. This poor lady in the Kraftwerk shirt who was talking about Sea of Solitude. I don't see her name. And this looks really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really interested in this. This is one of the two things that I was, because I remembered you said, hey, we'll only talk about stuff we want to talk about, so I made sure to make notes of what stuff I wanted to talk about. This was one of the two things for the EA press conference I was like wanting to talk about, because I thought this looked really interesting.
Yeah. This is basically, it's like it's early 19. It was like kind of an adventure story of this lady, and she's on a boat, and it's like she's kind of got all this black feathery
so the
hair.
idea is that her loneliness and I guess depression has turned her into a monster,
right?
And so the whole point of it is she's trying to figure out how to get her humanity back,
right?
And it's and so there's this whole thing with the world, and there's water, and you can the water can lower and raise, and you fight other monsters, or you get attacked by other monsters, and it's
I like the idea, though, that there's a one big monster that also has her face. I kind of like the idea of a world where all of the monsters look like her as well.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks kind of like a platformer, and there's like a lot of water and boats. And
there's going to be like puzzles with the water levels of raising and lowering them. And
it's just very stunning looking.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of one of the big absences from E3 this year that I think was on one of the feeds, but I never got a chance to see it, was that that graffiti game.
Oh yeah. Sony had multiple. They had a showing on multiple days.
Okay, I got to go back and watch that, because that was another one.
Concrete.
Yeah, I don't remember. In any case, Sea of Solitude, it looks good. You know what? It reminds me a lot of Unravel. It's like an indie game that looks like it's small, but it's like a personal story from a nice dev, and it looks like something that's fun, and it'll take you, a couple days. You could finish it, and that nobody's like, and it's not like Cuphead. It's going to be announced, it's going to come out, and then it's just going to be fine, and you're going to play it.
Yeah, it's coming out. I think it said spring of 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not. We don't have that much further to wait for it.
From there, we got back into sports with NBA Live 19 and Madden 19. As previously stated, if you want to find out more about that, you can go talk to somebody who likes sports, because I don't understand anything about this. Also, they've been really hyping up all the competitive stuff, and that's not really super interesting to me. From there, though, is something that was bitter tastes of ashes in my mouth, bitter pills to swallow. Why EA must you remind me of why you're the biggest shitbag in the video game industry by showing me a Command and Conquer game that is only a phone game and is only a versus phone game, and then having two guys come out to do commentary about your versus Command and Conquer phone game?
Yeah, they're trying to turn it into a competitive esport thing.
Yeah. And it's a phone game, which it's not to say that there hasn't ever been a competitive phone game, but this looks like a really simple game. It's just, there's these 3 capture points, and you got 2 bases, and they're literally right next to each other. And then if you capture the points and you hold them on long enough, there's a nuclear missile that comes out and hits the other guy in the base. And if you hit the base 3 times, it's you lose.
I thought it was just 2 times.
Or 2 times. It is 2 times. It is 2 times. But okay, listen, these are. It's this is all of. I love Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
And like you look at the feature list, and there could not be a list of adjectives for this game that is more of a turnoff to me.
Yeah.
1, multiplayer only. 2, phone game. 3, esports. Like I don't give a fuck about.
Now, I do want to state something.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on everything you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to state, because we had like a few people in our chat that were just like, why do they got to talk about phone games? Fuck phone games. We can't go one press conference without somebody fucking talking about a mobile handheld phone game. It's stupid. Phone games are totally a viable game platform. More people have phones than have consoles. So, calm down with that shit.
Well, sort of, but also it's worth noting that as near as I can remember, EA is the only one that does this.
There's a few that have done it.
Like, I'm just curious because I'm racking my brain trying to figure out.
Well, Microsoft announced pretty much every conference but Sony had a phone game referenced.
Okay. I guess was it announced or was it like this much focus? Because
it was like Bethesda had Blades and
that's legit.
And then Microsoft announced the Gears Pop and
I guess it's just this whole thing of like
this was the most like
of playing.
This was like the worst like they could have done.
Yeah,
but
like last year when they just showed you trailers for like the
Minions game or whatever.
There's the Minions Island, and then there was also the like Star Wars Heroes.
Yeah, Galaxy of
Heroes. That was fine. This, where it was like, I counted it. It's about 10 minutes of watching these two people play this phone game. And with this commentary of two guys like, oh shit, he's coming around there. Oh, he's got the second checkpoint. Oh, it's about to. And it's like, oh, dude, nobody here is as excited about this phone game as you are, but which I understand because you're getting paid to do it. Also, it's just really galling to me that this is what they've done to the Command and Conquer game.
Well, can we get a legit Command and Conquer? Like, I would actually have no problem with this if they announced this, and then immediately after it was followed up with an actual legit full-on Command and Conquer.
Sure.
Like, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. This is a little thing to get people interested in the idea of Command and Conquer. And then they've announced that they're working on, or an actual legit Command and Conquer. That's cool. I'm fine with that.
Right.
But yeah, the fact that it wasn't immediately followed up with that, which again, that's why I had no problems with the Gears Pop thing, because they immediately followed up with like, by the way, here's Gears 6.
Right.
Or 5. Gears 5, not 6.
Which they did immediately follow it up with a really fancy trailer
for their phone game,
for the same game that looks nothing like it. Like, if I had seen this trailer before E3 and they hadn't told me that this is a phone game, OMG would I have been like disappointed, because this is like, they did so much. I mean, obviously this is going to be like a TV commercial, right? Because they make commercials for like Clash of Realms or whatever the fuck that shit's called. But like, they didn't say the words GDI, they didn't say the words nod. Like, it was just this, and I'm like, can't you guys make Generals 2 instead? Can you just make Generals 2, please? Because the rest of this is not super interesting. But anyway, from there, they talked about their Play to Give campaign a little bit, which is just like donate stuff. And then we got Anthem. So
Anthem.
We have about 15 minutes to talk about Anthem. What I find really fascinating about Anthem was that they showed a trailer for Anthem, which I feel like everybody had been. Now let's just, for just a brief moment, let me just recap what has happened in the EA press conference up until this point. Battlefield 5 was kind of weird and they didn't show much. FIFA 19 streaming. Vince Zampella said there's going to be a Star Wars game. Battlefield 2 said they're going to try to fix shit. Unravel 2, Sea of Solitude, Mad Live, NBA Live, Command & Conquer Rivals. Right, kind of a bit of a shrug. Like, there's a few things in there like Sea of Solitude, but like, even though Unravel 2 looks great, it wasn't exactly like, oh my god, Unravel was my favorite game, I can't believe they're making a sequel. They saved Anthem until the very end, and then they started with a Q&A. They did a trailer and then like 10 to 15 minutes worth of Q&A from the audience about Anthem.
Well, it wasn't from the audience. It was from a pre-selected tweets that were done earlier in the week, which everyone's reaction was, are we even sure those were actual tweets?
I don't think that EA, they were like, we can't just read public questions to Casey Hudson. Like, it's just going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like, the internet fucking hates that guy.
Also, one of the things I really loved about this Q&A is at one point Casey Hudson goes, this game is not an MMO. It is not an online-only game with a vague story. slapped on it.
Right.
Let me tell you how this game plays, and then proceed to describe an MMO.
So here's kind of what I came away with from this, and it was interesting to watch both people in the chat room and kind of the people on the internet. So obviously this is fucking Destiny, right?
It's a Destiny style.
It's Destiny, except it seems like from what they were saying, it seems like the world is instanced for you and your players, so that it's like you're not going to see. You know how when you're playing Destiny, you see people like in the overworld maps, just like running over here, running over there, running over here, running over there.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be mostly social inside of the big hub, and more like Guild Wars.
Okay. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
the way I had interpreted what they were saying was the other way around. Is that the open world was all that, but the hub was just you by yourself and your team of players, if you wanted them as well.
Maybe I got.
And then when you leave the city, that's the open world where you'll see everybody else that's playing.
Okay, maybe I got it backwards.
I could be wrong.
Maybe
guess.
I could have gotten it backwards too. I was rushing to get these notes done before we started. So, but that's not. It doesn't really matter. The point is the point that I've been thinking about, and it was interesting while I was watching, is that I feel like in a lot of ways, Destiny has become like a dirty word to people. That they're like, oh well, this is just Destiny, but with Iron Man suits. And I'm like, yeah, but like if Destiny was written better, Destiny would have been fantastic. Like if they had tweaked a little bit of the loot grinding.
I can agree with you on that.
You know, there's a lot of ways that if say Destiny had more dialogue trees, kind of like the Star Wars: The Old Republic Online, or like different quests for the different classes to encourage you to go and play each one of them. Like there's a lot of things that MMOs and Destiny, I feel like people a lot of times just think of the worst thing in their head when they think of those. But like Star Wars: The Old Republic was a BioWare MMO that I thought was fucking great.
Yeah.
Like
no, and what again. When I bring up that fact that he says we're not an MMO and then proceeds to describe an MMO,
right?
I don't think if you came out it's like yes, it'll have some elements of an MMO because we are a persistent online world, and we want this whole experience that we can add to and things like that. That's fine. Just don't fucking tell me it's not one thing and then use fancy words to tell me it is that thing.
Well, yeah. Well, this whole Q&A, this is a problem with this whole Q&A was just verbal kung fu. It was like it was just buzzword, and I there was a lot of it you had to kind of look through. But the idea of what Anthem is supposed to be, and if you can just remember that Battlefield 2 doesn't have anything to do with BioWare, and if you go read a postmortem on what exactly happened to Mass Effect Andromeda, like if you can, and I'm not saying that it's going to be like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm sitting here and I'm not trying to like apologize for anything EA has done, or I'm not trying to whitewash it. It's just that like, I thought for a second that if EA made a game that had like cool Destiny with mechs combat and like a BioWare level of storytelling that was more like Star Wars: The Old Republic beats like Destiny, because that's one of the biggest problem that Destiny had was story. So if you had BioWare to come in and actually have a good story, this could be a fantastic game.
So there were some things that I felt like that they talked about, and not just on this, but also like at E3, like on other streams.
Yeah.
That both I was interested in and also turned me off as well.
Okay.
Like one of the things that a lot of people have been complaining about is that they reveal that there will be no romance options.
Okay.
Because the idea is that the characters that you're like, they made a big deal about the fact that you're going to have relationship with NPC characters in the games, like friendship relationships, and you're going to have those smaller character moments, like you and Garrus shooting cans on the top of the whatever in the Citadel.
Sure,
or, like that. They're going to be like, we know that those were the people's favorites, so you're going to have those with NPC characters in your hub world. But when you go on missions, you're not going to have those people with you. You're going to have your friends with you.
Sure,
and it's like, well, then why do I give a fuck about those NPC characters? Because part of the reason I enjoyed Garrus and in the Dragon Age games and in the other games is that they were my brothers in arms. They were those characters that I went with. I don't give a shit about that character that I maybe see once every 5 fucking missions in the main room of the Citadel. I care about that character that I'm going into the trenches with, which again, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing or whatever.
Sure.
I'm just saying I feel like they missed the point of what made those scenes with Garrus, or the whole the updated DLC ending where you get to have like the party or whatever. I feel like they missed the point of why people like those so much.
Okay, as a quick counterpoint, two quick things. One, Joker was not a character that you got to bring with you on missions, and was one that I cared quite a bit about.
But you had to interact with them all the time, though.
Sure. Which, if that's like, in this trailer we've seen there's they actually show some gameplay, and there is a kind of like a wisecracking, like robot sounding character called Owen, which does sound interesting, and I like the kind of guy that gives you your mission. But then the other kind of example, I guess, that I have of that is the Old Republic, where you didn't have, well, I think you had some AI with you in your party, but like a lot of it was just, for me, I think that the ability to choose the way that my character interacts with the world, dialogue, even if it's just even if it's like Titanfall 2, where it's just, am I snarky or am I nice?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily make a game good or bad.
No, and I'm not saying that.
But I personally could do without the romance options.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, I know there's some people that are, but that are upset about that. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I thought was interesting and it gives me a little bit of worry is when they talk about like someone asked about character customization. They immediately ignored that and talked about mech customization because the fact that you are not locked to, like, these 4 mechs are not actually, technically they're not mechs, they're classes.
Right.
One is like a tank, one is a
Ranger, Colossus, Interceptor, and Storm.
So they're 4 different classes.
Yeah.
But you're not bound to that class because you could swap between mechs on the on the go before you go on a mission. So you can go on one mission as a Colossus, then go on the next one as a Ranger, and then go on another one as the other one.
Yeah.
So you're not bound by any class, which I thought was kind of interesting. And they talked about how even within that class, like, you could have 2 people with Colossus armors, but they work completely differently.
Sure.
Like, one person could be spec'd to be like full on just punching, like up close and personal damage, kind of, mass damage, whereas the other one is not so much damage stuff, but it's just built to take damage.
Right.
So, and I think that's interesting too. But again, they skipped over the character customization part, which then made me think about the fact that they brought up that the hub world is going to be soloed, so that's your world, except with your friends if you bring them in, and then when you leave the city, that's where you'll meet everybody.
Yeah,
that's the massive part of it. What if there is, like, outside of saying if your character's male or female, what if there is no customization and the reason you're in a mech where it covers your face is because no one's ever going to see your character other than you?
Okay, there is a very brief point in one of these cutscenes where I think it's in the one before they start the Q&A where a character's mech falls down and their faceplate pops open and you do see their face.
That was a CGI cutscene, though.
Sure, but there's got to be, well, listen, if unless you're playing the whole game as a lady, right? There's going to have to be there's going to have to at least be 2 faces, right? A dude and a lady. Again, not to harp too much on it, I don't care if they gave me 5 preset faces to choose from, I'm more than happy to do that, because I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of moving the sliders around, and especially in BioWare games, I'm tired of trying to make a face that doesn't look like a fucking crazy thing, right? Like an insane person. Now, that is, again, because Destiny does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Destiny has a preset faces, preset hairs, preset skin tones, and then maybe some like cosmetic options. And it's like you get a bit, but you don't have like cheekbone sliders and like nose sliders. I don't have a problem with that. Now, I understand that some people might, because some people who like to play these sorts of games don't like to play the game unless they can make the character look like themselves.
Or may look very specific in a very specific way,
yes.
Not look like themselves.
Right, or look like a very specific type of character. To me, that's not a make or break. Again, a lot of this just comes down to if the game is any good. Like, if the core gameplay loop is good, then all the rest of this I don't care about. Like, I don't care if you can romance. I don't care if there's any dialogue options. If fighting people with a mech is fun, and it's fun by yourself or with your friends, then cool. But I can't say that that's going to be the case, because EA has, over the last 2 years, had a pretty good track record of shit in the bed. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm. it's weird because like I was half on board for this game. Like I wasn't like ooh, this is gonna get day one, but it was very much I'm gonna let it come out and see what people say, and then I might get it.
Right.
Like that was kind of but like this little Q&A plus a couple of other interviews that I heard on different streams and in articles and stuff like that kind of made me go, you know what? I don't think I care about this game. I actually think that this E3 has done more harm to my interest in this game than anything.
Interesting.
In that, because again, and it's more of what they're not talking about, and when someone asks them a very specific question, how they dodge that question to answer something different.
Yeah.
That's somewhat tangentially connected, and things like that. Like that's kind of where I'm just kind of like, I think there's some cool ideas in what I'm seeing. I definitely think there's some cool ideas. I like the fact that I can switch between character class on the fly and I'm not locked into one.
Right.
So I don't have to create a character, start to play it, realize I hate this character class, delete that character, start over from scratch with a new character. Like I could just play the character. I don't like this character class. Let me try this one. Oh, okay, cool. I'll stick with this from here on out.
Yeah.
You know, I like the fact that I can do that. I like that idea. I don't know. Like I still have issues with the forced online. Like, oh, well, you can play with you're designed to play with your friends. I mean, you can play it by yourself, but it's going to be harder. You wouldn't want to. You really need to be playing with your friends.
So yeah, the question,
because they're not the only one who's made that comment of either of games where it's like, oh no, this game is designed to be played with your friends, and if you're not playing with your friends, then why would you play this game?
Right. Yeah, it's a question of how much they're conflating that idea that you can play it by yourself. If you really can play it by yourself, then great. To me, there's just too many unknowns here.
Yeah.
There's too many randomizo things, right? Is the reason that Mass Effect Andromeda sucked because the development team was going in a weird direction, and because they had staff taken away to finish, what was the thing that they this okay, yeah,
to work on Anthem,
and then they kind of just kludged together half an idea and it was fucked up. Is that what made Andromeda bad? Like, how do we feel if we take Andromeda out of our minds? Do we all still like BioWare? The Old Republic, Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age Inquisition? Like, do we like BioWare as a company? Do they have credibility in our books? Is the fact that EA is putting out this game after the Battlefield 2 scandal, like, does that put a big black mark on this? Like, does it have anything to do with this? Because they did come out in this one, too, and say no loot boxes.
Yeah, no, totally.
Can't pay for power, just cosmetic microtransactions.
Yeah.
Also...
And they even showed some of those cosmetic microtransactions, even if they didn't say what it was.
Right. They had a whole part where they flipped between them, and it was pretty cool. And then the third question in my mind is that, like, EA seems like they've been doing this thing recently where they release a game and it kind of sucks, and then they just, like, with Battlefield 2, if they're committed to making Anthem a thing, and Anthem launches, and if it's not like Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem launches, maybe there's a bunch of shit that it doesn't work quite right, but they spend the next year with that microtransaction cash and the diehard fans of that franchise using that money to continually upgrade and fix the process until it is a really good game. I don't know. Like, there's so much potential in what I'm seeing here that I guess I'm not willing to get excited because I've been burned by EA, but I'm also not willing anymore to just be like, Anthem, whatever. Like, it's just going to be Destiny with Iron Mans. And I'm like, but that sounds great. Like, that sounds like a great game if you could make a good Destiny with Iron Mans and a BioWare story that made sense as opposed to the Destiny Codex bullshit. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. You are. You've checked out, kind of.
I checked out with this interview, and then further checked out upon other stuff. Like their interviews are sending up way too much red flags for me, and not in a it's clear this game's going to suck, because I'll be honest, there are things that I do agree look and have potential to be really cool, and there are things that I do like, but it's just like there's too many red flags for me to care anymore. Like, I already know I don't like Destiny.
Right.
If you give me Destiny but claim there's a cool story, I don't think that's enough to get me to play Destiny.
Okay. I think the difference between you and I is that I think that might be enough to get me to play Destiny. Yeah. Because a lot of the problems that I had with Destiny came down to the story more than the mechanics. Because I needed a reason for the action
Yeah.
And
No, I agree.
there wasn't a good reason. So if you can give me a good reason and you can give me a well put together video game, I'm all right.
Oh no, I
I'm
agree
all right
with
with that.
And like I said, and who knows? Maybe it'll come out. People will rave and rave, and you'll be like, "No, John, you need to fucking play this game.
John,
play this game.
Gotta play it.
I will fucking buy you a copy to play this game. Play this game. Not saying you're going to, but I'm just saying, like, if let's say it's that good.
Y'all like the way that John slipped that right in there. Maybe I get a free copy of Anthem.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Let's just say it's that good.
Right.
Yeah, I'll play it, and maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll be like, no, Anthem's the greatest fucking game ever made.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying that right now, this press conference did more to hurt my interest in that game than anything previously.
Fair enough.
More so than EA's bullshit, more so than Mass Effect Andromeda not being... I liked Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hate that, so I wasn't burned by BioWare, technically.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Well, that was EA. So, if you're not into Anthem, then I feel like you basically Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude were like all that you got out of that. Or I don't know. There's people out there like the sports games or whatever. But enough of that. We got another big one to get through here. Let's move on over to Microsoft. Microsoft had a big job this year.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that they did that job?
So I feel like they did better than I expected.
Okay.
I don't know. There are some things that sent red flags up during the press conference as well.
So let me say that at the beginning of the show, what's the guy's name? Is it Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer, yeah.
Came out. He was the host. I like the fact that they had a few devs, but not very many people that this was mostly like Microsoft last year was just like game. Like we're just showing a bunch of games. But he came out to say 50 games, 18 console exclusives, and 15 world exclusives, which that sounds pretty amazing, right? But hold on for a second, because if you've got 50 games and 15 of those are world exclusives, those aren't console exclusives, right? So
those are just we're showing
the trailer. So those aren't specifically Xbox, right?
Yeah.
You can get those on whatever. 50 games. All right. So now we're down to 35, right? And out of those 18 exclusives that are console exclusives, they don't differentiate when they announce that a lot of those are timed exclusives and not like forever console exclusives. Yeah. So I feel like at the end of the day, before we jump into this, like a lot of people were really excited about Microsoft, and there is some, don't get me wrong, there's some really exciting shit to talk about in here, but like most of those console exclusives are Halo, Gears of War, Forza, and that's mostly it, right? Like PUBG, I mean, it's like another, I guess, big arm for them. But like most of this stuff is stuff that you would expect. Like you're not seeing, and I'm not trying to make the comparison between the two. I'm just using this as an example. Yeah. Something like Ghost of Tsushima, which is like a new IP that's specific to the Xbox console. I mean, is there one of those in here that I'm not thinking about? Let me look at my list here real quick. I guess I just feel like they came out. I mean, like Crackdown would probably be that. But we already know about Crackdown. I guess I feel like there's not a whole shitload of like what kind of stuff going on. Well,
I feel like there was some shit. There was some like what comments or trailers or whatnot, but they just weren't the ones that are console exclusive.
Right. Anyway, it was a good show. It's just I feel like it was expertly formatted to make the Xbox seem like a lot of these games were specifically Xbox games, as opposed to just we're showing the trailer for the first time here at the Xbox.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like it was, because this is something that it didn't click until after it ended. They didn't actually announce a lot of release dates.
No.
Matter of fact, most of their trailers just said coming soon and didn't offer anything else.
There was a lot of 2019. There was a lot of just the number 2019 and nothing after that, which, as we all know, is not set in stone, right? It's 2019 and then it's going to get pushed back.
Because I think they did something similar like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or something like that, where it was just announcement, trailer.
It was last year,
vague release dates for all of them, and then like 2/3 of the games got canceled.
Right. Yeah.
And never came out.
Well, that's not a problem for a lot of these, because a lot of these Microsoft doesn't have the ability to cancel. But let's jump in. The first thing that they showed was very deceptive. This is a very deceptive thing. Okay, this is Halo Infinite.
Yes.
And this trailer was mostly showing off like environments.
Yes.
This is pre-alpha. This game has not really even started production yet.
It's a brand new engine.
Yes. It's a brand new engine called the Slipspace engine. The look of it, like towards the end, they show a warthog driving across the ground.
Yeah.
It very much seems like Halo 1. Like it seems like it's harkening back to Halo Combat Evolved.
Well, then it peers up and you even see that you're on a Halo.
Yes. I read actually some stuff about this as opposed to normal. Jeff can't do his research, doesn't know what he's talking about. This is going to be a sequel to Halo 5.
Yeah.
So it is going to be Halo 6. But they're trying to pull back from the big team story to make this a specifically more Master Chief focused storyline, because the last one they were bouncing between Locke and then Master Chief's team.
Well, I also wonder if they're able to get Locke, considering that actor's kind of blown up since then.
That's true. It looks real nice, but this is so early. This is basically this is the visual equivalent of what fucking Zampella did on EA.
Well, what's funny is this is not the first time Microsoft has done this.
Right.
When they announced Halo 5.
Yeah.
It was Halo 5, right? It was the last one?
This is with the desert, walking in the desert.
Yeah, where he's walking in the desert and
with the cloak.
Yeah, like that seems nowhere in that game.
Yep, true.
So it's like it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing.
Yep.
They just showed you something to say, hey, it's coming, and then you don't hear about it for a year, maybe 2 years, and then suddenly, hey, it's coming out in a...
I have a feeling that this is going to go... Next year at E3, we're going to see a trailer with an announcement release date of late 2020.
Probably.
At the earliest.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not what you just said, where it's MIA next year. There was a lot of MIA, especially from fucking Nintendo, but we'll get to that later. But anyway, I don't hate Halo, but again, this is kind of a nothing burger. It's just kind of like, hey, y'all, there's going to be a new Halo game on the Xbox.
This is like Bethesda going, hey guys, we're gonna do Elder Scrolls 6.
Don't you fucking get me started on those motherfuckers. Anyway, we'll get to that as well. It looks pretty, but there's nothing here. There's nothing to really talk about.
And this is coming from someone who actually enjoys Halo. I'm not a diehard fan, but I do like the game.
Actually, that's not true. There's nothing here. There's a whole blog post that they made about this that's got a lot of information, but the takeaway from that information is they are just starting this project. They don't have a story or anything. They're just starting this new engine. They're putting it together, and everything here looks pretty. We'll see how it goes. From there, prepare to weep your brains out, because there's going to be a new Ori game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was an Ori, like a special edition or a definitive edition or like a spin-off, but I think that this is the second actual. Was there an Ori in the Blind Forest 2?
No, it was just a definitive edition that came with like a DLC thing.
Okay. This looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
This game is very much an actual exclusive. I think, right?
Yeah. Well,
PC and Xbox, like Microsoft's version of an exclusive, where it's also on the PC.
I mean, there's that, but I feel like Ori did come out in the PlayStation 4.
I don't think it did. No, I don't. It did not. I could tell you.
Like, no, I mean, like within the last year.
Let's check it real fast, because
I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure,
because I remember Sony got something recently that was like hella old for the Xbox One, that was like a smaller downloadable game, and I was just like, what?
Ori and the Blind Forest, Microsoft Windows, Xbox One.
Okay, so yeah, I'm wrong. So yeah, just PC and
PC. And I think it came out on the PC, but I there's something there. Anyway, this trailer looks delightful.
Yeah.
Like it's very good looking. Like it looks significantly better than Ori and the Blind Forest. And it's mostly just a lot of the characters from that game kind of frolicking and around in forests and glens and running, and you got Ori and this little like owl friend. It looks
great.
It's kind of like Unravel 2 or something like that. This looks like great. I'm sure that I'll play it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I fucking loved the first one. Yeah, it looks great. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Yeah, good job. Good job, Ori and the Blind Forest. From there, we moved on to the the new From Software game, which was okay. Let's first.
If I'm not mistaken, this was the thing that last year we were speculating. Was it a Togi or was it a Tenku or was it a new Bloodborne or
Yep. Because we got that teaser. I think it was at the Video Game Awards where they showed the blood in the bones, right?
Yeah,
kind of like twisting, like
and it just had the line, shadows die twice,
right? So this is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and this is the new one from Miyazaki. And okay, some strange shit here. First off, this is coming to all platforms, so etc.
Yeah.
But Activision.
Yes.
Activision is the publisher for this From Software game.
Yes.
This is a testament to how far From Software has come from a PlayStation 1 developer that I feel like nobody really knew jack shit about, right?
Yeah.
But this trailer, I think that people are, I don't know, John, I have a feeling that this might be different than what people think it is. Because I don't think this is going to be even Bloodborne-like. I think this is going to be more of a Tenku or a Togi type game, more of like a Ninja Gaiden style thing, because we don't see in the actual gameplay footage anything resembling the systems that I would expect from those games. And we do actually see gameplay footage. Now the style is very much kind of what it's kind of Japanese mixed with like weird Bloodborne monster stuff. The main character seems like he's got his arm cut off. He's got one arm. And
it looks like he has a prosthetic arm, which is that thing we saw in the original trailer.
Right. And it looks like that arm can do stuff. Like there's a point where Vati Vijay did a really good breakdown video of this where he showed like spinning out like fireworks from it, or like a cannon, or like there's a big umbrella shield that can pop out of it. The combat looks like it's very much not about like it seems somewhat Soulsian, but then there's like traversal elements with this grappling hook. Like we see earlier on in the game, we see stealth elements of like, waiting, like not just like standing in a corner in a hallway watching somebody go by, but like the character pressed up against a wall or crouching down, like things that you don't normally see in a Souls game.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling this is going to be quite a bit different than a normal Souls game.
I agree.
Like I think it will be as different from Bloodborne as Bloodborne is from Dark Souls. I think it'll be like 2 steps removed from Souls. Because there's still a part early on in this trailer where we see, if this is Sekiro, we see Sekiro like pull out an axe from the bone arm and then like use it to essentially guard break somebody with a shield so they can get an attack. Vati thinks that this might be that as Dark Souls was to blocking and Bloodborne was to dodging, that this game is going to be to parrying, that the parry mechanic is going to be like the front and center thing for this particular game. Okay. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
I want to give it a try.
It at least has a very interesting look to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. What was the thing I was thinking is when I saw it, it made me think that like Miyazaki saw
Neo and Hold My Beer.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you think you can do feudal Japan horror? All right, motherfuckers. All right, we'll see.
Hold my beer, people.
Right, because it does also remind me of like Onimusha or in some cases kind of Tenku with kind of like demons and then there's a part in the trailer where the main character dies and then like comes back to life. So that's kind of in this whole dies twice vein. I'm wondering how all the mechanics fit together. I'll say the thing that I've normally said, which is Miyazaki has not done me wrong yet, so I'm willing to give whatever he makes a shot.
Yeah.
This looks cool. I like the visuals. I like the weird style that they've got. I could probably do... I'm slightly muted in that I wish that it was not feudal Japan, because we have... spoiler alert for a later podcast, Neo 2 and like Ghost of Tsushima. So there's like a lot of kind of Japanese sword stuff going on this
But they're
year.
also different
Yeah, it's
from
true.
the looks of them, from what
That's
we've
true.
seen of them. So I'm not too worried about that either.
Yeah. And that's coming in 2019. Let's see. From there, what did we get to? Oh, yes. Todd Howard came out to spread his vicious lies to people. No, I would have more words for Todd Howard later. I don't hate Todd Howard. I just... The E3 treats him like he's some kind of fucking rock star, and I'm like, I don't know.
He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Down to earth.
Here are the highlights. Fallout 4 is going to be on the Xbox Game Pass.
Yes.
So you're going to get Fallout 4 if you got the Xbox Game Pass. There's a Fallout 76 trailer. I don't feel like it's worth even talking about that until we get to Bethesda because
no, I agree.
The amount of information in there is minuscule.
Well, yeah, because literally they just went, here's a trailer, that's Fallout 76, and then left.
Right.
And then
come join us at the Bethesda conference.
and then they go into like full on detail on what Fallout 76 is.
Yeah. So let's not spend too much time with that.
Yeah, because we'll go back into that at that point.
At this point, we're just going to kind of go into full on trailer mode. Strangely, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit is something that I'm really, really looking forward to.
I'm also interested in this as well. Like, this was actually a surprise to me. It takes place in the same world as Life is Strange.
Yep.
It's like from what I understand, it's a side story to Life is Strange 2.
Yes.
So these characters will be in Life is Strange 2
Yes.
in some way capacity. But this is also not like a demo. This is its full own game. Like beginning, it's 2 hours long. It's own story.
It also is tied in. Stuff
Yeah.
you do in it will make differences in Life is Strange 2.
Yeah.
Probably not much. But I like this because it's this kid and he's just out like using his imagination. And so there's a lot of... It kind of reminds me of like Costume Quest,
Yeah.
but like in the Life is Strange universe.
Yeah. And it's free.
And it's free. And it's out at the end of June, June 26th. So, yeah, who cares? Like, I feel like a lot of people... I actually think this looks really cool.
Yeah, I actually thought it looked really cool. I liked what I saw.
And people were like, why, Jeff? And I'm like, well, because these aren't shitty. This character isn't a shitty teenager, nor are they a precious baby. Like, this is kind of an age of child that I feel like,
It's about a kid whose mother's clearly died.
Right.
His father is trying to do the best he can to be a single parent.
Right.
And this kid is kind of lives far enough away from school that when school's not in, he's kind of by himself.
Yeah.
And he kind of has to make up his own stories or whatever to basically entertain himself because he doesn't have any game consoles, because they don't make that much money.
Right.
And stuff like that. So he has to, and I love the fact that like in one of the walkthroughs I saw in a separate thing after this, that apparently the costume for the character, there are multiple choices that you can make on what that costume looks like.
Cool.
So it's not that everyone will have the same costume, which is probably one of the changes that when you actually play Life is Strange 2, if you see the kid in the costume, it's whatever costume you made for him.
Yeah.
In that. And you can totally replay the game multiple times, to get all the varying stuff. But I'm like, I was enamored with the trailer and I am actually excited for it. And I didn't even play Life is Strange.
Yep. I liked it. Okay, from there, a game that I feel like nobody expected to see, Crackdown 3.
Yes.
Now, this trailer made me realize, John, that if Crackdown 3 was just Terry Crews yelling incomprehensibly at me for 8 hours and then the game was over, I would be more than happy with that because this trailer is basically just Terry Crews yelling into a microphone for about 90 seconds and then it's done.
It's literally just Saints Row, more Saints Row. It's Saints Row with Terry Crews.
Yeah, it looks like Agents of Mayhem, to be honest. Which is not to say that it isn't going to be bad, but like it's just,
I'll also say this.
What's that?
This trailer looks way better than the stuff I remember seeing from last year.
Well, last year it was just like live action Terry Crews, right?
Yeah, well, no, it was live action, but I'm talking about like they didn't show it at the conference, but like on the floor they actually had stations where you could play PlayStations where you could play the game,
right?
And go and play it, and like people took video of it, and the game looked like ass.
Okay,
like it looked like an Xbox, like it looked worse than Crackdown 2.
Okay.
As far as like the graphics, and this looks infinitely better. So if this is what they've been working on to make it look better, and also to insert Terry Crews into the game more,
right?
I'm fine.
You cool with that?
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Also, apparently they said they wanted to the other reason they delayed it was because they wanted to put it on the level of Gears and Halo. So they wanted graphically and play wise, they wanted to make sure that it was as as on that level of title, then that it wasn't there previously. But they did say that the release date is February
19th, or February of 2019. Sorry,
February of 2019. They didn't say a date, which is really weird because I feel like it's going to get moved again because there are like 7 or 8 games that are all coming out in February, 4 of which are coming out on February 22nd.
I feel like February is a safe bet because you're out of the holiday doldrums, but you still have enough room that you could push it into March if you still wanted to make Q4 2018 numbers. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody knows that I don't exactly have the biggest boner in the world for Crackdown. It looks cool. I like Terry Crews yelling at me. The trailer was just a montage of explosions.
Yeah.
You know what? This is
my biggest question is Terry Crews the only playable character? Mm-hmm. Is Terry Crews one of multiple playable characters? Is Terry Crews even a playable character?
Mm-hmm. I tell you what.
All questions I would like answered.
We're going to get to it when we get to the Sony press conference. But Crackdown, this is a game that to me could have really benefited from having a 5-minute vertical slice of gameplay.
I agree.
Of just like starting a mission, jumping, getting into a car, doing stuff, showing off some of the stuff, but show me how it plays, because all that trailer was a montage of explosions with Terry Crews yelling, which what's not to like about that?
Yeah.
That's great, but I want to see what this
as
game
someone who's
is.
played Crackdown, watching that trailer, I know what all that means. It basically means it plays exactly like Crackdown.
Okay.
With no differences. That's all, but I agree with you. I feel like they needed to show more.
Yeah, especially for a game that's had its kind of reputation shaken a little bit
been
recently.
Delayed so many times.
Nier Automata is coming to the Xbox One.
Hey,
it's coming out in the what is it called? The Become as Gods edition that has all the DLC. It's going to be Xbox One X enhanced. That's great. Nier Automata is a crazy fucking game. It takes some work, but if you're willing to play it, it's got some really interesting concepts in it. It's just you gotta be willing to really dig into it.
Yeah.
So I recommend everybody play it. It ended up being a very fun game that was one of my favorites from last year, but only after I played it for like more than 25 hours. Like the first 25 hours, I was kind of like, and I understand anybody that doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's perfectly understandable. Let's see. From there, we got Metro Exodus, which was a new. This is just a new trailer for Metro Exodus that was announced last year, February 22nd, 2019. Is one of those 22nd games. Looks like a Metro game. You know, you're outside more.
Looks very much like the walkthrough thing they played last year.
Yeah. Well, I feel like last year. Oh yeah. Last year's was a little bit cooler because it was actually like a gameplay chunk, whereas this is just, again, like a montage of look at this, and then you shoot this, and then you shoot this, and look at this. I liked Metro Last Light. I never really played Metro 20.
I never played any of the Metro games. But I've heard they're all good.
Yeah, so it looks real nice, and I'm more than willing to play it when it comes out. It looks like they've really put in a lot of work here. I would like more like concrete actual information / like this is one of those things that I would much rather see on a gameplay walkthrough on the show floor to show me like systems, right, and things that you can do, because Metro always has stuff that is pretty cool like that. Kingdom Hearts 3 makes its first of 1 million appearances in E3 in this press conference. We get to see, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming to the Xbox One, right?
Yes.
So that's a big deal. We get to see some Elsa, some Frozen, some Tangled. There's some Lion King in there. There's some Wreck-It Ralph in there. There's some Toy Story. All of which seems pretty cool. And like always, everything was going perfectly until the guys in the black jackets showed up and opened their mouth and started saying dumb Kingdom Hearts bullshit.
But the funny thing is, people who are like really into Kingdom Hearts and have actually played all the games and know the story by heart and understand it completely, like they were all like, holy shit. Because like I have friends that are like that on my feed.
Right.
And all of them were like, holy shit, this person is, oh my God, what the fuck? How is that? Like It's funny because there was an interview with the guy who's the director of Kingdom Hearts. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But he was really expecting people to talk about the fact that Frozen was going to be in the game, because that was the purpose of this trailer, was to be like, oh, Frozen and Elsa's going to be in this game. Like, that was supposed to be like the big shocking reveal. And then instead, everyone's talking about the last end reveal,
right?
Where the character, the darkness leaves the character, and the character turns around, and it's this character from one of the previous games.
Oh, Aqua. Tetsuo Nomura is who's doing it.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I didn't think people would be talking about it that much, but this is the thing that everyone seems to be really hung up on, and if they think that's shocking, then they better watch out, because there's more shocking things in this game.
I can't tell you how much that stuff literally, it turns me off of wanting to play the game. Like when Aqua, I don't know if it's this trailer or another one where she's like all serious and she's like, Mickey, you're too late. I don't believe in you anymore. And I'm just like, I fucking, like, all my interest in this game is gone, because it's just a bunch of people being JRPG serious about Mickey Mouse and a bunch of people in black trench coats, and I could fucking care less.
Also, interestingly enough, and this is something that someone pointed out to me, there are no Final Fantasy characters in any of these trailers that occurred this weekend.
That's true.
Like, none of the trailers have any Final Fantasy characters. They've all been Disney characters and original characters created for this franchise.
Yep. Anyway, Sea of Thieves is getting some expansions. This was a weird trailer where it literally, I felt like, was a little too on the ball. Where
Did you know that there's a Sea of Thieves comic book?
I did not.
Apparently, it's fucking awesome.
Really?
Like, apparently, I have people who do top 10 lists or top 5 lists of the week.
Yeah.
And the Sea of Thieves comic is always on it every time. And these are people that don't play video games.
Wow. Well, this trailer, the guy gives this bauble to the Enchantress or whatever her fucking name is, and she's looking at all this Mordor or fucking Pirates of the Caribbean ghost ship bullshit.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like the pirate is just fucking around, and she's just like, you just want to know how much I'll sell, how much money you can get for this, right? He's like, uh-huh. I'm like, dude, that's just a little too on the nose for you, Sea of Thieves, that nobody gives a shit about the game outside of just, leveling up or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are 2 expansions coming to Sea of Thieves. We've got Cursed Sails coming in July and Forsaken Shores coming in September. Also, I don't think none of these updates have been paid, right? Like
No.
they wouldn't dare ask for
I
money to add additional.
I don't think so.
Okay. From there, we got to see the Battlefield 5 Nordley trailer,
which was 10 seconds longer.
Yep, as John said, it doesn't really explain very much. It's actually a very poorly put together trailer that's just a montage of people saying stuff, and then somebody's in the water and there's some Nazis, and boom, you're done. I don't know how much we're going to have to talk about this, but Forza Horizon 4 is a thing.
I think this game looks pretty impressive. They're putting in a dynamic weather system that will completely change the roads based on the weather.
Yeah.
It takes place in the UK. I think that's interesting. If I was into the Horizon games, I think that'd be really cool. I did like the fact that they're breaking through walls and running,
they're fucking up everybody's walls.
Yeah, they're fucking up. I was waiting for someone to run over a sheep, but they never did. So now I want to know if you can hit those sheep.
Right.
But this is, if I was more into the Forza games, I would actually, this may be something that would be interesting to me.
Yeah, it seems like you are 100% right. The Forza games are fun. They're not really for Jeff. If you're into these types of games, I feel like it's a no-brainer. Like, it looks just as good, if not better, than all the rest of the Forza Horizon games, which I think we've played just about every one of them on Rage Select, and they're all great. What I was actually what was really funny, it's a quick shout-out to the Rage Select audience, was while we were playing this, they were writing, new chapters of the Thomas Forza saga in the chat, and I was like, and they were all just like, Thomas Forza! Will he ever get back at Guy Fieri for kidnapping? And I was just like, wow, you guys are super into the Thomas Forza lore.
You were asked me why I put him in the Royal Rumble for Rage Select.
Somebody sent a picture of they've got a wall that has their Loco Steve shirt framed and the anniversary poster and a Dark Souls That's like their Rage Select wall, right? And it's got a Dark Souls statue, and then at the bottom of the Dark Souls statue are like 3 NASCAR cars, and I'm like, are those for Thomas Forza? It was like a desperation move with Thomas Forza. We didn't have anything to say about this racing game, so we just started saying dumb shit, and it's like one of the pillars of Rage Select lore. Anyway, this looks great. You know what? I'd be interested in playing it. While this was going on,
I'm interested in borrowing it from you once you're done with it.
While this was going on, I exactly knew how this game would work for me. Was if I wasn't doing this job, I would, and I had the Microsoft Xbox One with a Game Pass.
Oh, you downloaded that, definitely. Yeah.
When it came out, I would download it. I'd play it. I'd be like, hey, you know what? This was free. It's pretty fun. Like, I'm going to play it for a little while. And if it came in a doldrum where there wasn't any other games out, great. It says spring of 2019. A lot of times in that time, there aren't as many game releases. I'm like, great, do that, and then maybe I would get a little playtime. But I would never be interested in playing it for more than like a few days, and I don't think I would ever spend like full actual money on it. But from there, we got a very, 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 very interesting announcement. John and I called it, motherfuckers. Microsoft bought a bunch of game companies.
Yeah. They also started one from scratch.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So they started a new studio called The Initiative.
Oh, okay.
That is a brand new studio that they are building from the ground up, or that they have built from the ground up, and they're already working on something.
But we don't know what that is, right?
No, they haven't announced it yet. Okay. And I forget who the head of that studio is, but I know it's like I feel like it's a name I should know.
Okay.
But I just don't remember who it is off the top of my head. And then they bought 4 smaller developers.
Now, this is a little strange.
2 of them are like, okay, yeah, no, I understand that one.
And that would be Playdead and
Undead Labs and Playground Games.
Playground.
Undead Labs is the maker of State of Decay, which they made State of Decay 2. So of course, those are both Microsoft published games. Makes sense,
right?
Those are big pushes for Microsoft. Playground Games, they're the guys who make Forza,
right?
So again, makes sense. They want to make sure that these people continue to make Forza games, which they also said that Playground Games is working on a game that's not Forza.
Yes.
We don't even know if it's a racing game, but they did say that they are working. Because of this acquisition, it has allowed them to create a second team within Playground to make a second game,
right? That
they're looking towards making,
right. But the big one was Ninja Theory.
Yeah. And I don't know, did you watch the video that Ninja Theory put out on their Twitter after the announcement was made?
Mm-mm.
It was interesting because they came out and from their point of view, they're like, why did we do this?
Right.
They were like...
Well, especially considering they were so vocal about the whole middleware with Hellblade, right?
Yeah. And basically what it kind of came down to is that Microsoft came to them and said, hey, what would you think about becoming part of the Microsoft family?
Yeah.
And they went, we don't really know if we want to do that. And he goes, okay, well, let me ask you this. What type of deal... If you were to become part of the what would make it worth it to you to be part? And they were like, we'd have to be completely independent. You can't tell us what type of games to make. You can't tell us when the games have to be out. You can't tell us, like, we are 100% our own company. We have say in what we do.
And like how we do it.
And we will release it exclusively to you. And Microsoft went, okay.
Good.
Microsoft just went, that's fine. That's what you get. If you want us to give you money so that you can hire a bigger team, we'll do that. If you want help with our marketing from our marketing department, we will give you that as well. But outside of those things, you are still, you are your own entity that is owned by us.
Yeah.
And you make your games exclusively for us.
Which is great. Like, this is a move that should have been done 3 years ago, but like it's good that at least they're doing it now. Yeah. Because you and I were exactly talking about this idea that they need to go find some smaller developers, but that have a good track record, and then snap them up with the money dump truck and say, you do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, and we'll fucking give you money. All we want is exclusive IP, and I don't care what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Just we need like 8 new exclusive IPs, and we need them right the fuck now. We need to be building new Halos and Gearses and whatnot, and not just continuing to put out Halos and Gearses and State of Decay and Forza and stuff like. Because like State of Decay 2, I didn't like it very much, but then State of Decay wasn't supposed to be a big tentpole release.
Yeah.
Like, it was supposed to be just like the first one was like a Summer of Arcade game or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Like, it wasn't supposed to be just like a fucking what? It was just like a smaller game that was.
But then there's a fourth
niche.
company that we haven't mentioned yet,
Yes.
which is Compulsion Games, who are the people who made We Happy Few, which I think is interesting because We Happy Few is still coming to the PlayStation 4.
Yes. That you can't get away from the obligations when you started, because they started this as a Kickstarter.
This was originally Kickstarter.
Yep. Now this trailer that they showed looks completely different.
Oh no, it's a completely different game than what we played in early access.
Yeah, because what we played was a survival game.
Yeah.
And this looks like a fucking narrative game.
So-
and it looks like a good narrative game.
So originally, when they first launched it, the idea was that it was a roguelike.
Yeah.
So each playthrough would be completely different. You play as one character. You play through the whole game as that character. But it's a survival game, but there is like a little hint of a story.
Right.
But it is completely random what happens and where story beats happen.
Yeah.
Over time, they found that was not what they wanted.
Yeah.
So now that you play as 3 different characters throughout the game, there are 3 completely different characters that you play as, and there are completely scripted narrative, like level-based areas where you're playing just a normal game, and then there are also areas of the game that are procedurally generated. So
Okay.
you're going to get both.
Okay.
But it is a little bit more. It is a lot more scripted than it originally was supposed to be.
Good. Because the script at the beginning of the game was actually kind of the best part.
Yeah.
And then the just like running into buildings, I don't know.
And that was all based on feedback from people from early access, from their Kickstarter, from all that stuff. Like just feedback from them. They went, you know what? People weren't liking the direction we were going in. It also may have been a little bit too bold,
right,
for what we were capable of doing.
Yeah.
So we went in the other we went a little bit in the other direction.
Good. Well, I'm glad, because this trailer that they showed looks a lot better.
Yeah.
And
it comes out soon. Like it's coming out within like the next couple of months.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think
it comes out in July.
At a release date, did they?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it comes out in July, like full release.
Let's see. August 10th.
Oh, August.
Yep.
So yeah, it comes out a couple months.
Okay, cool. From there, we move on to PUBG. Is still a thing. There's new updates. There's going to be a winter map that's coming in winter, strangely enough. I wonder how PUBG has done for Microsoft. I haven't looked into it, but if they've sold a lot of it and if it has a big player base, I was kind of done with PUBG very shortly after we played it. So let's see. From there, we got Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. Now, this was an
Xbox 360 title.
Okay, but this is a world premiere, so this isn't exclusive.
No, this re-release is coming out, I think, I know it's coming out for the PS4 and PC.
Yeah.
I think it might also be coming out on the Switch. I don't know.
Okay.
It also may not be coming out on PC. I could be completely wrong on that, but I want to say it is.
And this is a remake of Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, which was on the Xbox 360. I did play that version of it. I really liked it as far as JRPGs go.
Okay. How different does this look from that?
It kind of looks the same.
Oh, okay. Because there's a lot of anime cutscenes, but then the actual
it kind of looks exactly
models.
how. I mean, it could also be a thing where it looks exactly how I remember it, but if I were to actually go back and play that game, it doesn't look that way.
Okay.
So if anything, it's a remake that meets what my memory is telling me that the game was.
Okay. Not necessarily what it actually was.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up? But all this actual animated anime was in the 360 version.
Actually, I don't remember if it was.
Okay. Well, maybe that. This, we were discussing this before we started. I mean, this trailer doesn't tell me anything about this game. It's just like colors, right?
Well, I mean, it's also not a new game, so it's kind of one of those things where I don't think they're trying to sell this game to people who never played the first one, the original. I think they're trying to sell it to people who played it or who wanted to play it but didn't own an Xbox 360, because I think it was an Xbox 360 exclusive.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
Let's go to the wiki, everybody. Well, it's part of the Tales series, right?
Yeah, it was part of the Tales series.
Because I feel like Tales series has been one that I've never really I've never really gotten super into. Let's see. It was released worldwide on the Xbox 360. It was released only in Japan on the PlayStation 3, and then it was released, and then there's the upcoming re-release on Windows, Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One in 2018.
So in the US, it was only released on the Xbox 360.
Yes.
So there's probably a lot of people who may be fans of that series and were upset because they owned a PlayStation 3. So now they're going to get that chance to get that definitive edition.
Absolutely. From there, we saw The Division 2. Now, we haven't seen The Division 2 up until this point, right?
Yeah, no, there wasn't even an announcement kind of thing. This was the first we're hearing about it.
So Division 2, I think we're going to save a lot of this for the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah.
But it's the virus got outside of Manhattan or whatever. You're in the ruins of DC, and it looks an awful lot like the Division 1.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about the actual stuff that they announced at the Ubisoft conference. This gameplay demo was kind of cool because you're going around a crashed Air Force One, but also, the big giant kind of juggernaut enemies that you've got to shoot 1,000 times are back. All the gadgets and stuff. There's some new gadgets and things like that. This is one of those things where I'm just not really
scripted voice comms.
I'm not just the Division just isn't all that interesting to me.
Yeah,
like to be honest, of the Ubisoft games that are not as popular, I'd much rather be playing For Honor than the Division.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, like those games that are like games as service, like they're persistent. I'm more interested in Destiny than I am the Division, and I have no interest in Destiny.
Well, there you go. So you've like -1 interest in the Division.
Yeah.
From there, we talked about the Xbox Game Pass, which, again, both EA and Microsoft seems like they were kind of doubling down on this idea. The Master Chief Collection is coming to Game Pass
later this year.
Mm-hmm. As well as like Crackdown, and did they say Halo Unlimited will be on there as Halo Infinite?
I don't know if they mentioned Halo Infinite, but they did state like all the first-party Microsoft games will be...
The most interesting thing was that they actually announced a thing called Fast Start, which is an attempt to bring that promise that they had where you could play the game while it was downloading. I mean, like every time I download a game on the PS4, it's got the like, here's how much until you can start playing it, and here's how much it'll take to totally download it. You can start playing it, but like Dark Souls 3, you're trapped in Firelink Shrine. Like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like, most games tend to be, or a lot of games will just come up to the loading screen, and then they're like, hey, everybody, the game loads up. Now wait for another 4 hours for it to be loaded.
Or, like, what is it, the NBA Live games or whatever, where it's like, here's a one-on-one match with, you only have these two teams available to you. Have fun with that for the next 6 hours while the rest of the game's installs.
Right. So if they can actually make good on this and they can actually get you more of the game up front faster, great. That's great. All right. So then we got to the indie montage that I feel like, was Microsoft the only one that had the indie montage this year? I don't think Ubisoft did. I feel like Square... Did Square...
I mean, Nintendo did.
Okay. All right. Anyway, there was some interesting stuff in here. Most of this is I don't know, like, After Party's in there, but I already knew that I wanted to play After Party. There were some interesting things. Fringe Wars looks kind of interesting.
Super Meat Boy Forever.
Yeah. This is our first look at that Sable game, which looked really interesting. Below, they showed very briefly. Bomber Crew, which is already out on the,
I think I
PC.
bought that in early access a long time ago, and we almost played it, like early access version of it.
Yeah, and that's coming to Game Pass. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. A lot of this is just so fast that I don't know what all to say about it.
Yeah, right? I don't even really know what I'm looking at for a lot of it.
Wargroove. Remember we saw that at the PC show last year, and it looked really good. It's like Advanced Wars, but you can make your own maps and stuff. Looks pretty nifty. So from there, we jumped over to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which looks like more Tomb Raider.
Yeah. The last part of their trilogy.
Yeah. Apparently, like, Lara's fucking it up this time.
Yeah. Apparently, that the story, the plot of it is that in her desperation to keep an artifact out of the hands of Trinity,
Yeah.
She inadvertently causes the thing that they would have caused, like that she would have tried to stop them from causing.
Oh, okay. This looks like a more Tomb Raider. I mean, it looks very pretty. It's very much Tomb Raider. I didn't actually ever play the second one, so
Played through about halfway through it.
a lot of this is lost on me because I don't really know why she's doing any of this, who any of these people are, or what is going on here. But it's very pretty, and you fight an eel. I mean, like, I like the whole kind of stealth, like setting up situations and taking people out.
Yeah, and I did watch an interview with them where they were saying that now you can. So one of my biggest issues with 2 was that if you started in stealth and then you got detected, you were done. Like, you had to do. It was just run and gun fight. There is no going back to stealth. Until you're done with that section. Apparently in here they heard people's complaints about that, so now they've actually made it so that there is a way to get detected, run away, and then go back to stealth.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Like Uncharted 4, how you could do stealth, but then once the first person saw you, it was just like, what's the point even at this point?
That's how the last Tomb Raider was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. From Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we went to Session, John's favorite game.
So here's the thing. I was actually really excited for this trailer. Like, I saw this, I was like, holy shit, a skateboard. Like, a lot of people saw and were like, oh my god, it's a Skate 4?
Yeah.
Are we finally getting Skate 4? No, it's a game called Session. It's a skateboarding game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really show you too much. They just show, it kind of looks like your standard skateboard video montage.
Right.
Which looks cool. But I was curious about this game, and I went and looked it up, and apparently this game was kickstarted. And it was made by people who were like really big fans of Skate 3 and upset that the skateboard genre has just gone downhill and is non-existent now, which, you know, is something I'm actually very impressed with, and the game looks good. But then I heard that the big thing is that they wanted to make skateboarding more difficult because they wanted to make it like real life.
Okay. Which is not the reason that we play video games.
Yeah,
y'all.
it's like, so, like, and then I saw a thing where they were describing the controls for it. Like, they completely changed the controls.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like Tony Hawk where you press a button and you do a trick.
Right.
It's not like Skate where you flick the right analog stick and it does a trick.
Right.
It's now a thing where there's really only 3 buttons. You use the right and the left, like the left analog stick controls your left leg, and the right analog stick controls your right leg. And depending on how you move them will depend on what your character does.
Right.
And like, you have to move them in a very specific way to ollie, but then you also have to move them so that you land that ollie appropriately, just like you would in real life.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever skateboarded or tried to skateboard in your life, Jeff. But it is not always the easiest.
Oh, sorry, finish.
So that kind of, you know, and they're kind of like, it's like the Dark Souls of skateboarding.
Yeah, the Dark Souls of everything, motherfucker!
Because it's, you know, if you fuck up, it's your own fault. But it's not. But they wanted to make it so that just doing a simple ollie is considered a big deal.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of like, well, that's not what I wanted. So
what if it was like Toys' Games and they made a little skateboard that went over the two, like those little finger skateboards?
Those little fingerboards,
right.
Yeah.
And then you can use your pinky to hit the button, and then you like do a trick with the little board that's on top of the analog stick.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone made like some type of thing for that.
Yeah, that sounds intolerable, and I have no interest in it. But then, see, I don't care about Skate. I like Tony Hawk because I want to grind across the top of a mall and then through a dragon, and then like down. Like, I want it to be insane. I don't want it to be realistic. I don't give a fuck about realistic.
Well, the thing about Skate was kind of this weird, like it was different than Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
but it was still just as kind of ridiculous in a lot of ways.
Give me Tony Hawk Underground 3.
Preach, brother. But
I don't want Skate 4. I want Thug 3. That's what I want.
I agree. But I would also go for Skate 4. But I just feel like we're due for, like, I'm hoping that, like, maybe I'm just not understanding what they're describing, and maybe the game is really good.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for a good skateboarding game. That's all I'm hoping for.
You just want a good skateboarding game?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not this Tony Hawk 5 bullshit or whatever the fuck it was, this last one.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Black Desert Online looks really cool. It's like they were showing this game, and I was like, this looks really cool. And then I saw the Rage Select chat, and they're like, this is Black Desert Online. I was like, oh, okay, I don't give a fuck because it's an MMO.
Yeah, it's another MMO on the console, so yeah, cool.
So, but that was our warm-up to the first of what I feel like are Jeff's contentious E3 titles. Hey, y'all, did you hate DMC? Do you like old Devil May Cry where it's from Japan? Well, guess what? It's Devil May Cry 5. It's Devil May Cry 5.
It's Devil May Cry from Japan.
And it's from Japan. And here's the thing. When this trailer started, I couldn't tell what it was at first. And then when it was like, there's a car driving down the street, and there's like this punk kid in the front of it, and
with white hair,
right? And the van says "Devil May Cry" on the side. And I was like, "Holy shit, it's DMC 2!"
Yeah,
like this looks like DMC 2.
Holy shit, has Ninja Theory been working on DMC 2 without anyone knowing?
Right?
Holy shit,
is it an Xbox exclusive?
Because it also kind of looks like DMC 2,
yes,
or DMC,
yes,
in the styling of it.
Yep, and then. Oh no, it's Nero.
Yeah,
it's like fucking Nero.
Then he revs up the sword, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's Nero," and they're like, "Yeah, you complained so much about DMC. Fuck you. You get to play Nero now."
Yeah. So here's the thing. You know, Devil May Cry fans, like I'm not gonna make the impassioned argument about DMC because I'm done. I've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You don't like DMC, that's fine. You don't gotta like a thing, that's fine. And guess what? You won. You won, people who don't like DMC. You complained loudly and hard enough, and people didn't buy the game, and it got bad word of mouth that they went back to the old franchise. This is literally called Devil May Cry 5, so there's Devil May Cry 4, and then they just ignore the DMC even exists. Devil May Cry 5. That's fine. I don't care. But I fucking hate Nero. Like, I feel the way about Nero that y'all feel about New Dante. He's a shit character because he's like Dante Light. He's like a young, stupid version of actual Dante in the Devil May Cry franchise. And remember that Devil May Cry 1 was a good game. Devil May Cry 2 was not a good game. Devil May Cry 3 was a good game. Devil May Cry 4 I didn't care for. So far, this franchise has a 50% success rate because Devil May Cry 4 was okay, but I fucking loathe Nero. So half that game was Nero. When it's transitioned back over to Dante, I was like, okay, I like this, but like half that game sucked. And so seeing Nero, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, couldn't it just have been a new Dante game, John? Could it not just have been a brand new game that just had Dante? I don't even mind if they go back to the Japanese development staff, right? I don't even mind if Nero's in it as a non-playable character that's part of the story, like Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 4. But fucking Dante, bad.
Well, they did state outside of this that there will be 3 playable characters in this game.
Right.
The main one being Nero, or at least the main one they're focusing on then in this trailer is Nero.
Right.
Was the kind of the comment that they made. The other playable characters will be Dante, and then I don't think they said who the third one was.
I think it's a girl, right?
I think it's a female character.
Is it the girl that's driving the car?
No,
in the
I don't think
trailer?
it's her.
You don't think it's her? I like her. Her design is cool.
Yeah, she's the one who designed his arm, though. So she seems like she's like the shopkeeper where you go to get upgrades.
Okay, because I like her character quite a bit, and I like the way the game looks, and I like the action. I just fucking hate Nero like so much. So you know that happened. I wonder if it will be like, no.
Is it possible that this game could be so good that it gets you to like Nero?
Maybe it's possible. Kojima did it a little bit with fucking Raiden, right?
Yeah.
Like not entirely. Like I feel like in Metal Gear Solid 4, he was like, ooh, and he's going to be the baddest asses, and then you can't play him. You got to be an old man with a mustache. And I'm like, that's all right. I don't like him that much. Like, he's all right, but he's also kind of a whiny bitch, right? So I'd rather play the old man with the mustache. The thing is that Nero is a cocky guy with a big sword and a bunch of powers who fights demons. That's Dante. I don't need 2 of them.
The difference is that Dante's a little suave about it, and Nero's...
Dante's Dante's the first one, right?
It's Dante's charismatic, and it feels like... Well, part of the problem with Nero in 4 is that it comes off like... Because he's Dante's nephew, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he's like his nephew. And it's very much like he's the weird kid that grew up idolizing his uncle.
Right.
And is trying to be like him as much as possible, but at the same time trying not to make it obvious, but it's terribly obvious.
Yep.
So it's like... And it just comes off obnoxious because of that.
Yep. But you know what? hey, again, Devil May Cry fans, you won. You did it. Congratulations. I hope the game is good. I don't ever want games to not be good. Maybe this game will be great, and I'll end up coming out the other side like a Nero.
Playing it, so you know.
I mean, like again,
I agree with you. I did not like Nero either. I actually fucking hated Nero, and this my heart hurt a little bit when I realized it was Nero.
Right.
But at the same time, I gotta admit the trailer looks cool. Like if I knew absolutely nothing about Nero,
yes,
as a character,
yes,
this actually looks really cool.
If I had no baggage from DMC4 from Devil May Cry 4, yes, absolutely. Looks fine. It's fine. So there you go. Devil May Cry 5. I mean, all the visuals and the graphics and everything look incredible. So
yeah,
great. From there, Cuphead's getting some DLC.
Yes!
The Delicious Last Course.
I'm excited.
And we're bringing in the lady character.
Yeah, Legendary Chalice becomes Ms. Chalice.
Ms. Chalice. Okay.
And she's Lady Cuphead character.
And so it's basically just like a new island with bosses and weapons and characters and stuff.
I'm excited.
Yeah. That's cool. I never actually got a chance to go back into Cuphead.
I did not get very far in Cuphead, but I still like playing it because I think it's really, really charming and really well done. And I know Amanda loves it. And when I showed her the trailer for this,
she was happy.
She squealed.
Okay.
So she was so excited.
Tunic we've seen this game before. I believe this is like
yes.
I
think they showed it last year.
Yeah, isometric, kind of top down.
Kind of Legend of Zelda-y style, but cute.
Well, if I remember also last year, there appeared to be some Souls kind of DNA in here with like a stamina management system for attacking stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of like dodging and stuff. Looks good though. I don't think do we have a release date on this one? Or
no.
I don't think so.
Again, that was my big problem with a lot of the trailers in this is a lot of the trailers didn't even say coming soon. They just, here's the game. Okay, moving on.
Right. Let's see. John, why don't you tell the people about Jump Force?
So Jump Force is interesting because it is a Shonen Jump game. It is one of those kind of arena battle games where it's you versus another player and you're fighting and jumping all over the place. But it's also a tag game, so it's like you and two other characters and you can swap out on the fly.
Sure. Even
like mid combo to like enhance your combos. The trailer is like super hyper realistic looking, and the characters you see are Goku, Naruto, the character from One Piece whose name I don't know.
Is that Luffy?
Luffy, yeah. Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, and then at the very end of the trailer, you get a sneak peek at the two main characters from Death Note,
Light and Ryuk.
Yeah, and Ryuk. But it's an arena battle game, and from what they've said about it is that in the storyline of this game is that all these worlds are merging together into the real world, and that's why everything has this hyper realistic look to it.
Yeah.
So it's all, and so all the hero characters and all the villain characters are coming into the real world, and also the worlds are merging together. So you have like the real world settings like New York, which is where some of this was, but they also have like settings from Dragon Ball Z are there as well, and so there's this big bad guy that's causing all of this, and the hero characters the story for it is that the hero characters are banding together to fight this. They said that they're going through all of the history of Shonen Jump for characters. These are the only characters that they're announcing right now.
Okay.
They said if you want an idea of what characters will be in this game, look for characters that could be considered hero characters. So don't look for games like Prince of Tennis to be in there because he's just a sports guy. He's not like a hero type character. Don't expect those type of characters to be in this. So it's specifically people with like super abilities and powers and things like that.
Okay. So
that you don't have this weird like big super powerful Goku versus guy who cooks.
Right.
Kind of thing. It looks fun. Also, apparently, it's celebrating the anniversary. I want to say it's like an anniversary for Shonen Jump, the comic.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like a big like anniversary, like 50th anniversary or 70th anniversary or something like that. Like some big anniversary that they decided to do this kind of big thing to celebrate it. Okay. Which I think it looks cool. I want to play it. When it comes out.
It's a bit. I'm not. It's not exactly my cup of tea.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like Final Fantasy Dissidia, which I feel like those types of games fall into the same category as like Dynasty Warrior style games, where it's like if it's about a subject matter that you're into, then it can be fun, but that the actual mechanics of the game are not the reason that you're playing the game. That it's more just kind of like a woo, here's the story and here's the.
But apparently they are trying to make it like combat, because apparently the success of Dragon Ball FighterZ has actually kind of woken the Japanese fighting market up to that people actually do like competent fighters, even if they have like are fan servicey.
This is the same company that made J-Star's Victory VS.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. From there, we got a strange announcement. I didn't expect Dying Light 2 is coming.
Yeah, Dying Light 2.
Looks real good. The thing is that Dying Light, I forget about that game, but it was a game that was really easy for me to just kind of fall into and play.
Yeah, I remember you played it a lot when it first came out.
Yeah,
and then like something else came out immediately after that, and you're like, okay, and moved on and never went back.
Yeah, well, actually, that's not true, because I played it, I beat it, and then I went on, and then when they had the big DLC,
the
big open world DLC that they put out, and then I went back and played it more and got way into that DLC.
Yeah, no, I remember that now. Yeah.
But yeah, Dying Light 2, so much better than what? Is it Dead Island?
Yeah.
What? Did Dead Island 2? That was the Jack Black trailer.
Yeah, that
3 years ago. Never came out.
No one's heard about it since.
Did it get canceled?
I think last I heard it has been shelved.
Okay.
But that there's. Yeah.
This whole trailer looks very, very nice. I mean, everything looks nice this year. Like, there aren't that many games that just look bad. Black Desert Online looks amazing. I was actually thinking about, I was watching a trailer for the Cthulhu game they put on one of the channels, and then another trailer for like a Plague game. And I was like, oh, right, with Unreal Engine 4 and like some of the updates that have been done to Unity, nothing looks bad. Everything looks real good. And for this one, it looks like Dying Light. I mean, it looks like...
I actually think it looks better than Dying Light, but...
Yeah?
But yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously it looks like Dying Light as if made today. But,
yeah.
There's some interesting kind of like, your actions will change the way that the city is. So they kind of show some scenarios about you get control of this water supply, and you can either kind of give it over to the city, or you can kind of hoard it for yourself. And if you give it over to the city, then like the people are better, but it strengthens the faction that controls it. And
yeah, so the idea is that, if I remember correctly, it's either you can mercenaries are holding it, and so this form of government for the city basically sends you in to murder the leader of that group and take the water plant back.
Right.
And so if you do that and give it back to them, then water is freely available for everyone, but they're a little bit more
like draconian
in their
police
state.
Yeah.
But if you decide to work with the mercenaries, you
get access to black market, so you get better equipment, but then like it attracts more of like a bad element to the city, so people suffer. So that's cool. I like the idea of changing the world. Again, Dying Light was just a solid, like, the thing about Dying Light that made it really interesting was that the upgrades that you got really made a difference to the way that the game played. And so as you played the game, you felt more and more and more powerful as time went on, which is great.
Yeah.
So that was Dying Light 2. From there, we got Microsoft's had their own Nothing Burger announcement this year, and that was Battletoads.
Yeah.
There's going to be Battletoads. What is it? Buzzword.
What's his name's T-shirt from like 2 years ago finally came to pass.
Yep. Body morphing genre mashups.
Because that's always the thing. Like, he always wears a T-shirt, and then it may not be he doesn't ever call attention to it, but he always wears a T-shirt of something, and then like a year or two later, down after he wears that T-shirt, it becomes a thing.
Oh, okay. What was his T-shirt this year?
And that was the thing. I couldn't figure out what his T-shirt was this year. But like, he usually comes out with a T-shirt with something. Like, I think like 2 years ago he wore a Battletoads shirt.
Yeah.
And then like Battletoads ended up in Shovel Knight, and everyone was like, "Oh, is that what that was in reference to?" And
was it Battletoads and Killer Instinct?
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Was it
did get added to Killer Instinct as well. And so everyone was like, "Oh, that must have been what that was all in regards to."
Right.
And then now there's an actual Battletoads game coming out sometime next year. No footage was shown. No nothing. nothing.
It's a hand drawn, so it seems like they are going to go to like a hand drawn sprite.
Yeah, it's
thing.
2.5D.
2.5D. That's fine. I don't really have the nostalgia for Battletoads that a lot of people do because I couldn't get past the driving part.
Well, that was the joke they made.
Right. Yes, but that I feel like people are just like, ha ha ha, wasn't that funny? And I'm like, well, it was funny, except that like I couldn't play the game for more than about 30 minutes because things just died and it started over again. I was a child and wanted to have fun with video games. I wasn't fucking masochist. Nintendo.
Get good, noob.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't a thing. Just Cause 4 is a thing, though.
Yeah.
And we got motherfucking tornadoes.
Got motherfucking tornadoes.
Okay, can I just say that I'm really nervous about Avalanche Studios?
Yeah.
Because
thinking it might be where spreading themselves thin?
No, because Mad Max didn't click with me, and Just Cause 3 had bad load times and that shitty social stuff. So, like, I haven't liked their last two games. And so...
Oh, see, I love Mad Max.
And a lot of people do. A lot of people do. And so they're making Rage 2, and I'm just like... And they're also making this, and they're making, I think, like one other game as well, right?
Yeah, they announced a new game that's the weird robot thing in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. The co-op one.
Yeah.
So, like, this looks, again, as everything, looks incredible. It's Just Cause. We got Rico Rodriguez. He's flying around, and there's like extreme weather. There's tornadoes, and there's fucking sandstorms and lightning and shit. And it's like, yeah, if it works and it loads quickly, and you don't have that garbage social stuff in there, like that was all. I literally had to stop playing Just Cause 3 because I was tired of the load times. Because if I fucked it up, it was like a 3-minute load, and it was just too much. So if they get it right, I'm totally down with Just Cause 3 or 4.
Yeah. No, it looks great.
Yeah. More tethers, more like
different types of tethers. You can actually upgrade it differently now. And
yeah. I think we'll talk a little bit more about this at the Square conference, right?
Yeah, we don't got much else to talk about during that.
So anyway, it looks really fantastic, and if they can make it work, great. But there's got to be a gun in the game that shoots that tornado, right? There's got to be like a grenade or something that you can do to spawn a tornado in the Just Cause world. That's fucking cool. Like that's awesome.
I just like the fact that he drives towards the tornado.
Yeah.
He then gets on the roof of the car.
Yep.
The car gets swept up into the tornado, and he just flies into the tornado, and you never see him again.
Just pulls out his wingsuit. There you go. Just Cause 4. All right. Who likes Gears of War?
I do.
Okay. Well, then Microsoft has some announcements for you.
First up, the last thing anyone expected, because people were always trying to, because there was a rumor that they were going to announce 3 Gears of War games.
Right.
And 2 of them were right. One of them, everyone said, oh, it's going to be a Battle Royale game. It's going to be like a Battle Royale themed Gears of War that's going to be like its own thing. That's not going to be like a mode or whatever. And now is Gears Pop.
Yep.
A mobile game.
Yep. Funko Pop Gears of War characters on your phone.
Yeah.
So
no idea how it plays. No idea what the gameplay is or anything. It's just a cute little trailer of Funko Pop.
I feel like
characters.
The lineup that they're fighting is like 2 locusts and a gear.
Yeah, and a
cog or whatever.
A Carmine.
Oh yeah. So I almost feel like this is going to be like one of those like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Build your team, upgrade your shit, fight against other people.
Yeah.
In asynchronous multiplayer. But,
probably.
I can say,
or maybe it turns out it's a battle royale type game.
Yeah, maybe. I know
coming in 2019.
I couldn't. I don't care. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know.
I don't know either. But it's called Gears Pop.
Yep. Now, I'll tell you what I actually
before they got into the big Gears thing. They like briefly, and I mean,
was it before the Pop one?
It was right after the Pop thing. It was so brief. It was literally he said a sentence. They showed a 5-second clip, and then
it was before,
and then they moved on.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm mad. I'm legitimately upset about this announcement. I feel like I can't.
Okay,
find
maybe
this.
it's after. Maybe it's after he comes out.
After the whole Gears 5 thing. I'm legitimately upset about this because Gears Tactics, right? Let's stop beating around the bush.
Yeah, Gears Tactics.
Gears Tactics.
And they show it, and it's basically a Gears of War XCOM style. It's an XCOM style Gears of War game.
Right.
Which fucking up yours and my alley.
Sure. Absolutely. I care actually quite a bit more about that than I do about Gears of War. The problem that I'm having is this is a PC-only game, and that means that it's going to be Windows 10 only, right?
Yeah, probably.
Because the thing is that it's like that's what Microsoft has been doing, is anything to get you to have Windows 10. And like, so normally I'm able to get around that because I've got an Xbox One, right? So it's like, oh, well, I don't have to get Windows 10. I'll just play those games on an Xbox One. But this one, it's like PC exclusive and then almost certainly Windows 10 exclusive. And just like, I don't want to upgrade to Windows 10 to play your one game, Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy where I am.
I honestly wonder if it's going to be like a permanent exclusive to Windows 10. I think eventually it will come out as a Xbox title.
Yeah.
But
a lot of the, I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah,
like I'm totes down with this.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, it was like literally he mentioned it. They showed a quick trailer thing for it, and then they were like, and we'll talk about that sometime other in the future.
right. Instead, what they talked about was Gears of War 5? 5?
Yeah, 5. It's 5. Gears 5. Now it's funny because it's the title of it says Gears 5. But it's the Gears of War franchise, but they're just calling it Gears 5 for some reason. Like they're actually a lot of people are suspecting they're dropping the of War thing.
Oh, okay.
Part of the title, but which I think is possibly being done to limit the confusion with God of War, Gears of War.
GOW?
Yeah, GOW. So there may just be like, I will just call it Gears 5.
Okay, so the main character is the girl from Gears 4.
Yeah, it's not JD.
This was a really difficult trailer for the old Jeffster because I didn't finish Gears of War 4, so the stuff they were talking about was largely incomprehensible and went over my head.
A lot of the stuff that they talked about, I mean, mind you, the whole thing with the medallion, that's from the end of the last game.
Right.
So
like JD is
also
he's got the arm.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck what that is.
And
like I don't know if I'm forgetting something from that game, but I have no idea what that is.
Right.
It clearly the way it's showing off here is that clearly time has passed since the end of the last game.
Right.
Some things have changed. Apparently JD's more of a cock than he was before.
Yeah.
And kind of doesn't give a shit about people for some reason, about his friends. And it's a little jarring, especially with how Gears of War 4 ended, and seeing where like part of me is like, well, how did we get here?
Right.
Like what happened? Like why is his arm fucked up? I don't remember his arm being fucked up.
Well,
what like what's going on? And I'm kind of wondering if maybe this isn't that. What if, yes, she's the main character and she is the main focus, but what if this is a game where you do play as multiple characters?
Yeah.
Like where...
switch between chapters?
Like one chapter you'll be playing as her going through, and then on other chapters you'll be playing as JD and going through his shit.
Right.
And then at some point they meet back together, and then you play as her for the rest of the game or whatever when they get back together. I mean, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing here. I'm looking forward to this game. It looks like more Gears of War.
I mean, the only thing I do like is the idea of starting Gears 5 in a place where it is disconnected from right at the end of Gears 4 is maybe a good jumping on point.
Yeah.
Because Gears 4 just started to grate a little bit. I never actually finished it. A lot of people were saying that it seems like there's a bunch of new different enemies in this game.
Yeah, no, there are. There definitely are new enemies.
Whereas Gears 4 reused a lot of enemy types from previous Gears games, so that's a big thing. As everything else, like it's I'm hard pressed, John, to tell you that there was anything at this show that blew me away with its graphical fidelity, because everything looked equally good. Yeah. Like everything looked like the best looking game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, and that was the Microsoft conference.
Technically.
Except, oh no, here comes the hacks.
The conference has been hacksorted.
God, no, what could be
They've stolen all
here?
the IPs.
Oh, CD hacks, and then we're executing DOS files. Begin the video, and hey, everybody, it's Cyberpunk 2077.
Holy shit!
Which looks great.
I mean, it's a cinematic trailer.
Yes,
Now,
I don't fucking. Okay. This is one of my favorite things from E3 because it's new and we didn't know anything about Cyberpunk 2077 and like just the aesthetics that they're showing off here. It's what I fucking want out of a game like this.
I agree completely.
It's so like William Gibson that it makes my teeth hurt. It's like Shadowrun minus the monsters or William Gibson with a little bit more flash. And that's what I want out of my Cyberpunk. I'm tired of Cyberpunk just being like an aesthetic that is like just means neon and certain things. I like this like lady with half her face off and like a cab full of robots. Like there's just so many things going on in this trailer that look cool.
Yeah,
and,
I agree. Apparently they did have a closed behind closed doors playthrough, like hands off playthrough of the game.
Yep.
And people did say it is a first person open world game.
Yes, first person game. There's going to be driving. Like they actually show. It's funny because this guy and his 1980s future car makes the fucking cars in the beginning of Ready Player One look like shit.
Yeah,
like there's going to be driving. You are going to make your own character. So this guy in the trailer,
your character's name is V.
Yes.
And you can, when you create the game, you will first decide if you're going to be male or female, and then you can design the look of your character, like hair and face and all that other fun stuff. But also, you create your background. Like, are you parents dead and you're an orphan,
right? Or
are you the spoiled rich kid, or whatever? And all these choices, including your gender, will actually affect the way people treat you in the game.
Right. This looks so fucking cool. I can barely even stand it.
Yeah.
It's, if Microsoft had been able to acquire CD Projekt Red and make Cyberpunk 2077 an Xbox exclusive, that would have been like the coup of the entire E3.
Yeah.
But like, still, we haven't seen this game in like, 4 years or 5 years or something. And what I'm seeing now looks great. If this is a first-person shooter with RPG elements set in a William Gibson-esque 80s sci-fi cyberpunk universe made by the motherfuckers that made The Witcher with that amount of depth, you can sign me the shit up. I don't give a fuck how long it is. I will play the fuck out of that game.
Yeah.
That's like all the dumb bullet point buzzwords that appeal to Jeff.
Yes.
Those are for Jeff and Jeff alone. Well, also other people, but mostly Jeff.
It appeals to me.
Mostly Jeff, I say.
All right.
And that is our first set of conferences. That's Microsoft and EA. Let's see how we did on time. Fuck. No, I fucked it up. I was going to make it shorter. It's about the same time as it was last year. That's it. We're going to wrap this up. And out of the two that we've talked about so far, obviously Microsoft has the upper hand when it comes to who had the best conference so far.
Though I do knock points because a lot of the stuff they showed didn't actually have a release date, so who knows when the fuck it's coming out?
Or it was just a trailer for a game that's coming out for other systems. So
in regards to, I'm actually really excited for Cyberpunk 2027, but I am the rumor is that it's not going to come out until 2020.
Right.
At the earliest.
Yeah.
And it could be delayed, which makes me worried. Oh, God, is it going to actually come out on 2027? Jesus, I don't want to be an old man.
I think it's 2077.
Oh, 2077?
So, but yeah, it's good that they wrapped it up because this is a good showstopper.
Yeah, there's even some hidden stuff in the trailer for fans. That are really big fans. Secret messages from CD Projekt Red, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yep. It actually makes me interested in even going back and playing The Witcher. So it's that good. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Our next set is going to be Bethesda and Ubisoft?
Bethesda, Devolver, and Square.
Bethesda, Devolver, and Square. There we go. And then Ubisoft and PC and Nintendo, or Sony and Nintendo.
Yes.
So join us back here for that next one, and we'll see you then.